Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we proceed with today's video, let's do some recap with the flowchart in the last slide from your notes. In order to find the limit of a function, we just need to substitute the value of x to confirm our cases. In case number 1, where we straight away got a constant or infinity, then this should be our final answer. In case number 2, where we got 0 over 0, there are two options that we can do. We could either factorize or conjugate them and make sure to cancel something from the original function. Now, one more case left. But before we discuss the third case here, we need to know a concept that is called one-sided limit. It is better to use graph to understand the concept of one-sided limit. So let's go back to the 11th slide. So here's a weird graph. In the first question here, we want to find limit when x is approaching to plus. Plus here means x approaching to from right. If it shows minus sign here, like in question D, it means that x is approaching to from the left. For now, let's see A first. As I said earlier, we want to find the value of fx, that is the value of y, when x is approaching to from the right. If you can see from the graph sketch here, when x is equal to 2, the value of y doesn't exist. But it doesn't matter in limit because we only need the value when x is approaching 2 and not 2 itself. But there are two graphs around x equals to 2, which is this one and this one. Since we want to approach 2 from the right, we are going to follow along this graph. As we are approaching 2, the value settles at y equals to 4. So the value for function fx as x is approaching 2 from the right is 4. Let's move on to question D. We want to find the value for fx as x is approaching 2, but this time from the left. Again, there are two graphs around x equals to 2. This graph and this graph. If we want to approach 2 from the left, which graph should we follow? The blue one or the pink one? Very good, this one. And following this graph, we can see that it settles at y equals to 0. Therefore, the answer for D is 0. I'll show you again for question B and E. The last two questions, you need to do it on your own. Let's look at question B. We want to find limit when x is approaching 1 from the right. Okay, take a look at x equals to 1. There are two graphs around it, this and this. Since we want to approach 1 from the right, we are going to move along this graph here. And as you can see, it settles at the value of fx equals to 2. So our answer here is 2. Last one, we want to find limit when x is approaching negative 1 from right. Focus on x equals to negative 1. We have two graphs around it, this and this. Since we want to approach it from right, we're going to follow along the pink one here. And as we follow along the pink one here, it settles at the value of fx equals to 1. So the answer here is 1. Now you try. I'll hold the screen for 3 seconds and you can pause the video to finish your calculation. I'll give you the answer after this. Okay, so the answer for C is 1. And the answer for F is also 1. Right, so let's take it up a notch. What if they just give you the function instead of the graph? Yeah, I know some of you have some kind of allergic reaction when it comes to sketching graph. But there's no worry here. You don't even need to sketch the graph. You can just put it in the number line. But first, we need to label the function. Say this is function A, this is function B, this is C, and this is D. In the number line, put all these values of x. So we have 0, 1, 3, and 4. From 0 to 1, function A will be here. Make sure to label include and not include from here. And then from 1 until 3, function B. 3 to 4, function C. And lastly, after 4, question D. Now let's try to answer these questions. In question A, we want to find limit when x is approaching 3 from the right. So, similar with the graph, you are going to only focus on the function around x equals to 3. So, these two functions, this and this. And since we want to approach from the right, we should follow along function c. So, this function here can be replaced with function c. Now, this become limit x approaching 3 from the right for function 2, 4 minus x squared. And just like before, we're just going to substitute the value x equals to 3 into the function here. So we have 2, 4 minus 3 squared, and this is equal to 2. I'm going to put this one aside. Now let's try again. Let's try question D. We want to find the value of fx as x approaching 1 from the left. Okay, again, focus on the function around x equals to 1. We have this function and this function. Since we want the one from the left, which one do you think we should use? Is it function A or function B? If you say function A, pat yourself in the back because you are doing so good. So now we're going to replace this fx with function A. So this become limit x approaching 1 from left for the function square root x minus 1. And to find limit, we just need to substitute. Here we substitute x equals to 1. So we're going to have square root of 1 minus 1, that is equal to 0. Alright, I'll show you B and then you can try the rest of this by yourself. In question B, we want to find the value of fx when x is approaching 4 from the left. So between function C and function D, which one should we use? That's correct. So we're going to replace this function here with function C. So let's rewrite this with limit x approaching 4 from the left for the function 2, 4 minus x squared. So as usual, to find limit, we just need to substitute x equals to 4 here. So this one become 2, 4 minus 4 squared, and this is equal to 0. Let's put this aside. So try to do these 3 questions now. I'll hold the screen for 3 seconds. Pause if you want. I'll give you the answer after this. Alright, let's check your answer. The answer for E is 4, the answer for C is 4, and lastly the answer for F is 5. Well done. So that's it for now. Do try this exercise before we proceed to the next subtopic. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day and take care.